Hi guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about wind and basically some of the things that we can do to help our baby shift their wind, because it can be really difficult for babies in the early days to get that trapped wind up. Um, so the first thing I would really encourage you to do is just to carry your baby a little bit more often, either in arms or in a sling as you go about what you need to do in the house, so you can do your tidying up and things like that with a baby in a sling. But just that gentle motion of being in your arms and sort of being rocked from side to side and forwards and backwards, that's going to help shift a little bit of that wind. And if you've ever been on a long haul flight, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you get to the end of that long haul flight and you haven't really moved much and you're full of trapped wind. And our babies are the same. They need a little bit of help. And if they're lying flat on their back in a cot or in a bouncy chair, they're just not getting that movement that's going to help them shift the wind. The other thing is we're going to look at a baby's anatomy, and there's a little trick that you can use to help this. Okay, so here I have a little diagram of a stomach, and this is much bigger than a baby's stomach is in real life. Their stomach is only about the size of their fist, okay? But I've made it bigger just so that you can kind of understand what I'm saying. Now, if you've ever had a fizzy drink and you sit and watch it, you know that those little bubbles just rise to the top of a fizzy drink. And it's the same for babies when they drink milk. If they've either gulped it down and they've swallowed a bit of air on the way down, or if it sort of just ferments a little bit in their tummy and produces a little bit of extra wind in the tummy, those little air bubbles are going to rise to the top. And some will escape up the esophagus and you get a nice burp. But the rest are going to go up and sit in this top part of the stomach, which, as you can see, isn't actually directly below the esophagus. It's over to it's sort of just above it. So basically, what happens if you're upright the whole time, those little air bubbles can get trapped. So what we really want to do is we want to change your baby's position a little. And the way to do that is just to position them so they're on their left side a little, okay? And so that part of the stomach is below that air pipe, that windpipe, sorry, not even air pipe or windpipe, the esophagus. And that's going to allow some of that air to come up there, okay? So what are two of the things that you can do position-wise that are going to help? Because obviously it's a little bit uncomfortable for your baby just to be lying like this on their left side, okay? So one thing that you can do is pop them on the center of your chest, but with an angle over onto your right shoulder. So their left side is lowermost, and they're lying up on your right shoulder, and you don't really need to do anything in this position. You can lie back a little just so that the pressure on their tummy increases slightly, and between the pressure and them lying a little bit over on their left side, the esophagus is going to be above their stomach, and it's going to let some of the air out. So there's no need to do any sort of vigorous jiggling or anything like that. You can just sit like that for a few minutes and see what happens. The other thing that can be really helpful, and this is really good as well if your baby is very unsettled in the evening, is what's called tiger in the tree pose. And basically what you're doing is you're keeping them on their left side, but you're going to have them facing out. Okay, so what you're going to do is rest them on your right arm, and again the baby's left side is lowermost, so that air can escape out through the esophagus, and you're just going to rest them on your forearm and just rock them and walk them like this, okay? And a little bit of gentle pressure on their tummy helps, and also just that change of scenery, that change of position quite often can be really beneficial for babies. They find it very comforting. You can rock them, and quite often this will help settle them and help them bring up any trapped wind that's stuck there as well. So those are two little positioning techniques that you can try, and they can work really well for babies.